Hidayatullah MA. The Honorable Professor Dr. Nasser Muhammad Arif from St. Andrews University. The Honorable Mr. Farudin M. Mangunjaya from National University. Honorable Professor Iim Halimatus Saadia PhD from UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta. The Honorable Mr. William P. Sabandar PhD, Chairperson of 5P Foundation. The Honorable Mr. Ahmad Kisai PhD from Paramadina Graduate School of Diplomacy. Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, presenters, the 6 ICONIST committees, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. It truly is an honor for us to welcome you back to the second day of 6th Interreligious Studies, Sciences and Technology, ICONIST 2023. Following up the previous day, we do hope that all our distinguished participants may have a round of excitement for upcoming keynote speech, plenary sessions, and the parallel sessions. First of all praise be upon Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the Almighty God, who has been blessed us to gather around back here in this conference. Let us all begin this conference by reciting Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected ladies and gentlemen, we shall have a keynote speech, which today will be delivered by Principal Expert of the Presidential Staff Office, Chairperson of the OIC Human Rights Commission, the Excellencies Professor Dr. Siti Ruhaini Zuhayatin MA. The theme of the keynote speech will be about the significance of faith to preserve ecological sustainability in the era of technological advancement. Please welcome Professor Dr. Siti Ruhaini Zuhayatin MA.
Professor Dr. Siti Ruhaini Zuhayatin. Professor Dr. Siti Ruhaini Zuhayatin is a distinguished figure in the academic realm, renowned for her extensive contribution to the fields of human rights, HAM, and gender, particularly within the Faculty of Sharia and Law at UIN Sunan Kalijaga. She served as Principal Expert, Indonesian Presidential Staff Office 2020 until present, and Chairperson of OIC Human Rights Commission. Her expertise encompasses gender studies, women's activism, research, academia, Islamic studies, human rights, and democracy. Her extensive career includes teaching roles at UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta, Gadjah Mada University, Indonesian Consortium for Religious Studies, as well as international institutions like Yomiuri University and South Carolina University. In addition to her academic achievements, she has undertaken senior research roles at the Center for Policy and Population Studies, PSKK at UGM, and has been the recipient of various prestigious scholarships and fellowships.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all of you, and I would like at the outset to extend my gratitude and appreciations for the organizers of this conference. I saw also the Minister of Religious Affairs, and also I saw the State Islamic University of Shahid. Of course, I would like also especially to extend my gratitude for the rector of OIN Jakarta, and also a colleague from MAARIF and other organizers, Lakpesdam as well. First of all, I would like also to convey to you the message from the keynote speaker that who should be here. So I was actually informed only for few days in a very hectic schedule that I have to stand in front of you delivering the keynote speech. So I hope that this very short preparations that I have will be the basis, for our discussion for today. And instead of going to discuss in detail what has been designated to me about navigating religions particularly in scientific development, so I will shift a bit this theme to the important roles of religions in negotiating the constant change of the world. And my themes will be specifically looking at the roles of religions in the betterment of worlds of humanity. So, as it is also stated in the themes of this conference, why religion matters, and how then religions will be the basis, the fundamental basis for the developments of the betterments of the world and humanity. Distinguished speakers and participants to this conference, we start with why religion matters. I just briefly talked to Professor Arif, our guest speaker from Emirates and as well as from Egypt, that religions shape our world in this modern time, especially when the world shifting from the traditional system, the traditional political system to the modern system, and we still have many issues left over to these transformations, and it also have the very huge impacts on how our society and also the people in the world responding to the development of science and also the developments of other aspects of lives. So we may learn from history that religions is the belief system, a belief system that, and also believed by the people that this is actually the teaching of God. And throughout the history, we witness the emergence of many religions, as whether this the religion is rooted in the Abrahamic religious roots, or maybe from other roots as well. And throughout the history, we see that attempts to put aside religions were also there, but we witness that religion is still matters in our world civilization. And we also witness some of the work from very famous academia and also intellectuals in seeing how religions is negotiated and also navigated to respond to the progress and also to the respond to the developments of the world. And it resulted too many types of response to this. For example, one is secularization, or also secularism, and the second, it might also be agnosticism, and they might also ended up with very harmonized negotiation between religion and world development, and it resulted to the types of religions that fit, or at least in harmonies with the development. And usually we call this religious tradition as moderate religion, moderate understanding and moderate perspective of religion. So that is actually the historical evidence of why religious matters in the history of human civilization, and also this is also still relevant to this current development. The second things that I would like to share with you here is how we navigate religion in order to achieve the betterment of the world and humanity. I choose the word betterment because it encompasses both the tangible and intangible progress and development. Say, for example, the tangible progress and development, we can see and we can witness all the technological development that we have and to ease our life from time to time. And especially and very specific is the developments of communication development, communication technology developments, which unprecedentedly that we actually benefit from this development because it connects to other people, to other ethnicity, to other religious group, and also to other nations in the very efficient way. And especially the creativity emerged from this development is so amazing when in the COVID-19, for example, the inventions of massive communications via internet is helping us to be connected with other people, with other nations. Yeah. So Zoom is actually a revolutionary information technology that help us actually to survive and to move along the devastations of COVID-19. So that is actually the tangible, the tangible aspect of the betterments of the world. But the betterment also include the intangible aspect, such as the values, the norm, and also the practices of the people, the practices also of the religious believers, and also the practices of the citizen of the nation. So that is actually the two aspects that constitutes what I mean by the betterment. The betterments of the world and the betterment of humanity. Ideally, the progress of technological development has to sustain the respect and the protection of human dignity. That is actually the essence of humanity. Distinguished speakers and participants of this morning conference. So, of course, this is very wide and huge discussion of the things, but I would like, particularly in seeing how we can navigate religion to sustain and also to uphold the very basic foundations of civilization, or the very basic of the culture. That is actually also very significant and very fundamental in negotiating with the progress and also current development. So the first is that religion has many dimensions. This is the belief dimension that still also very relevant to be studied, especially in the religious higher education. But also, religion has the social dimension, the context of religion. And this context of religions is very complex, very unique, and sometimes also contradictory each of the culture and to others. And the third is actually the structure of religion, which include how religions supporting their political structure, the social structure, and also the economic structure. So three things in religions has to be examined and has to be revisited all the times in order also to be relevant to their current challenges, and in the end, that religion is not part of the problems of this world, but the religion has to be the driving force for achieving the betterments of the civilization or also humanity. I may take maybe in this on the screen it appear one slide that I would like to specify in this discussion. One is actually how religions related to the structure, to the political structure of the modern time. That is how religion became the basis of constituting their nation state all over the world. And it is not unique to Indonesia, because Indonesia also part of this kind of transformation, political transformations from the very ancient political system of monarchy to the modern democratic system. Of course, we cannot really claim that democracy is the best political system, but still that now we witness that democracy is the realistic system that we adopt, because democracy has its own corrective system inside. So as I said, that religion has to be the basis of the betterments of humanity. So specifically, I would again highlight on how religions become the foundations of the nation state building. I also discussed earlier with Professor Arif on why other countries why some countries they have or they succeeded in negotiating between religions and their national identity and national politics, while others they're still struggling in achieving such attempts in this time. So we also now learn how some countries like Afghanistan and also in the current situation of Palestine and other, especially because this morning we are talking about religion, and most of colleagues are from Islam, and if for example we take two examples between Afghanistan and Indonesia. Why I take Afghanistan? Because I'm part of the Afghan-Indonesia Solidarity Network. And I compare this country on how religions is become the very important aspects of the national building. Indonesia become a state is in 1945, and this is actually it's marked the transformations of Indonesian society to what is called ethno-religious communality into modern nation society. So even though this is not always tangible to us about this transformation, but this transformation is giving huge impact to a nation as their political structure to achieve the betterment of humanity. So Indonesia also experience of the transformations. It's not always smooth, but we learn how the transformation from ethno-religious communality to modern nation society left us some homeworks that still we are now still have the challenges to overcome. One is the issue of the transformations from religion, which is actually attached to traditional community, is still prevailing in many Muslim countries, especially. One is this religion, when religion is embedded in ethno-religious communality, so religions become part, the very significant part in establishing or in creating the collective identity. Yeah. And this community and communality, usually it is very small. Yeah. But traditional community is homogeneous in terms of technique and religion, and mostly in the past it based on agricultural. And the second is that ethno-religious authority were in the hand of charismatic leaders, be cultural or religion. So the leadership of religious leadership or also cultural leadership. So it's very charismatic. Yeah. And the third is that ethno-religious as collective identity, they create such kind of sentiments, yeah, and it is very deeply rooted in this identity. For example, in Indonesia, we have Minangkabau is one ethnics which claim that Minangkabau is deeply rooted in the Islamic Sharia. And Indonesia also we have Hindus in Bali. And Bali, if we are talking about Bali, so we cannot really separate Bali from Hinduism. And also when we are talking about Batak, so Christianity is embedded there. So that is actually the manifestations of the position of religions in their traditional communality before Indonesia gained the independence. Now, adding to this ethno-religious communality is the claims of exclusivity and also collective sentiments which uphold the superiority of certain ethnicity. So that is actually the modality that we have before the independent in 1945. And through physical struggles and also political diplomacy, Indonesia gained the independence in 1945, which fundamentally transformed the ethno-religious communality into modern nation society. And many of us tends to take this as a natural transformation, which is not. Now, we have to prepare this transformation. So the modern society has also based on the modern state authority. That is the constitution, rule of law, and citizenship. And this modern society embrace the social structure which is heterogeneous and also with or consists of religious plurality and also multicultural and multi-ethnics. So that is actually the fundamental change of this transformation. And instead of having a communality, Indonesia, modern Indonesia, also adopt the inclusive, egalitarian, and also the principle of equal before law. It also consists of the efforts in opening the equal access, participation, decision making, and benefit in the public sphere across race, ethnicity, faith, religion, gender, and of course disability and other social categories. Now, the next slide is actually explaining about the importance of navigating religions in order to to be the basis of their smooth transformation from traditional communality to the modern state, which is not always easy to many countries. And we are very grateful, as I also mentioned to Professor Arif, that Indonesia has a relatively smooth path to for this transformation, because we have a very unique process of this transformation which might not happen in other countries like Afghanistan, as now this is the current crisis that we face. So maybe Professor Arif will also share with us on how religion shape their nationalism in the Middle East. But learning from what's happening in Afghanistan, for example, the problem is there is no such a smooth transformation from this communality to the modern society. Indonesia has I would say this is the blessing, because the independence of the state is separate from the process of national building, the nation building. We as Indonesian, most of Indonesia are unaware that there is two kind of declarations in our country. One is the Declaration of the Nations, Indonesia as the nation. It happened in 1928. That is called Sumpah Pemuda. This is the pledge of to the youth. But I examine deeply, not only it's only the pledge, but this is actually the declarations of a nation, which is actually the transformation from the communality to the modern nation. The state is not was not there because we are still colonized by the Dutch. But the process of nation building that we underwent in Indonesia is mostly civil. It is in horizontal, because this is a pledge of various ethno-religious communalities and also cultures, and all together they share their values. To have the new identity is called Indonesian nation. So this is actually extracted from all the consciousness of the communality, that Indonesia needs the more neutral identity that is not deeply rooted in ethno-religious communality. So this is actually the essence of Sumpah Pemuda, or the pledge of the youth of Indonesia, saying that we are willing as a civil society to adopt, to embrace the new identity that is Indonesian nation. And from 1988 to 1945, this is then the struggle to have the political independence. And when Indonesia gained the political independence, the nation has been built. The nation has been relatively strong. So this is actually the basis for the Indonesia to have the modality in adopting the progress and also the developments afterwards. When we declare as the modern state of Indonesia, we have the strong modality of the nationhood. And that is actually the main sources for the Indonesia to maintain the solidity of the nationhood, which actually this become the source of the visions of having the peace and also the secure life as a nation. So this is actually the division. This is the division between the state, the nation, and the state. But of course, this is interrelated. But the way that Indonesia established the nation and the state is quite unique, and this is the blessing. Because with the strong nation, because nation will encompass all the things related to humanity. It's related to the respect to others. It relates to the protections of human dignity, and anything related to the civil rights, and also all the right related to better life, to secure life, and also peace. And the second is when this nation is relatively strong, then it proclaims our political independence. And this is actually the modality that Indonesia has to take care in the future, because political identity or political dimension will be always changing. And now this is actually the year of politics in Indonesia, and we hope that all the political contestation in Indonesia will not thorn the fundamental basis of our nation. We nearly torn apart in 2019, when there is a polarization, social polarization, that is really worrying to us, that it will be also dividing the foundation of the nation. So this is actually the lesson learned from Indonesia, that religion has to be part of nation building. Religion not part of political state. So Professor Arif said that why we have NU here and Muhammadiyah with millions of followers, but they are not directed to a certain political system, because our civil society is strongly rooted in our nationhood, where all the agencies of this civicity in Indonesia is the religious groups, the Muslim, Muhammadiyah, NU, Christians, PGI is a Christian organization in Indonesia, and then Catholics, Hinduism. That is actually those who are responsible to maintain the nationhood, while the turmoil, while all the contestation in this political is different things, and it has to be wisely response to the nations. So politics can be changing, but the nation has to stay permanent and stay strong. So distinguished speakers and participants, this is actually our main task. Intellectuals here in this room has to take very active agency to strongly protect this nationhood, including religion. Religion is not part of our political system. Religion is belong to our civil society. The role of the state is only administrating religious matters, but not determining religious tradition or religious teaching. So this is actually, we have to be very critical and also be active agents, and putting, it's not separating, but putting the position of religion vis-a-vis to the state. So by doing this, actually Indonesia will have the modality that we can convey to other countries on how we navigate religion as part of our nation building, nationhood and statehood. And by doing this, we actually put the very strong foundations of religion in order to achieve all the betterments of the world through the tangible or intangible, the developments of technology, and at the same time also we are very proud of having developments of universal principle with endorsed by the United Nations. It can be the Charter of United Nations, it can be also the in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and other convention. So we have to take this progress to be always in lines with the stability of this country, the stability of our religious lives. So through this, actually, that Indonesia can be maintained, Indonesia can be part of their cultural diplomacy to other countries, and we hope that we can contribute to the betterments of the world and humanity. So I will stop here, and thank you very much for having me here for this session. So I will give back this floor to the committee. Thank you very much once again. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the insightful keynote speech. As mentioned in the speech, that religion is not part of the problem, but it should be the basis of the betterment of the humanity. It should be part of the nation building, not a political state or inside a political system. It was very wonderful. Respected ladies and gentlemen, we'll have the second plenary session under a title, International Politics and Climate Change and Resilience for Sustainable Development. For this plenary sessions, three incredible speakers will host. The Honorable Professor Dr. Nasser Muhammad Arif from St. Andrews University, Mr. Fakhruddin M. Mangunjaya from National University, and Professor Iim Halimatus Sa'diyah, PhD from UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta. And this session will be led by our respected moderator, Mrs. Narila Mutia Nasir, PhD. We would like to welcome Mrs. Narila. You may have the time.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, all the participants. Welcome to plenary session 2 in the 6th International Conference on Interreligious Studies, Sciences and Technology. I'm Narila Mutia Nasir from the Faculty of Health Sciences, UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta. Now it is my honor to be a moderator for this plenary session with the theme International Politics and Climate Change, Resilience for Sustainable Development. As we know that climate change has impact to us, not only about the issue environment, but we need to understand that many factors are related to this condition: politics, religion, and other social factors. We need to pay attention to this climate change issue since it has a strong relationship with the sustainable development. And we are so glad that now we have three great speakers. First, we have Professor Dr. Nasser Muhammad Arif. Assalamualaikum, Prof. And then we also have Dr. Fakhrudin M. Mangunjaya. You want to come to, please? And then also Professor I.M. Halimatu Sa'diyah, PhD. First of all, please allow me to introduce the first speaker from St. Andrew University, UK, Professor Nasser Muhammad Arif. Professor Arif has a specialization in curriculum development, Islamic political thought, comparative politics, and political development and cultural studies. He has many publications, and now Professor Nasser is a professor of political science at Cairo University, Egypt, visiting professor at St. Andrews University, UK, and advisor to the Minister of Culture and Knowledge Development, United Arab Emirates. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Professor Nasser. Today, Professor Nasser will share the topic on Religious Education and Cross-Cultural Interaction Foundation for Sustainable Society. Professor Nasser, you will have about 15-20 minutes for the presentation. Time is yours, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you for the organizing committee, for Dr. Fawzia, for Dr. Yuli, and thanks for the all the participants in making this event taking place. State University of Syarif Hidayatullah, ICONIST 6 is one of the good initiative I know about, and I'm happy to take part in this event. Actually, I've been assigned to write about this topic by the committee, Religious Education and Cross-Cultural Interaction Foundations for Sustainable Societies. But I have to stay from Professor Dr. Siti Rohani. She mentioned in her speech very high important points, which is very deep and theoretical foundation of Islam and Islamic politics. Professor Dr. Siti Rohani mentioned two main points for me, two very strong points. One of them is the foundation of Islamic political thought. In Islamic political thought, it is called society-centered political systems. All over Islam, the society was much more stronger than the state. And Islam was with the society, not with the state. The state, all over the Islamic history, has only four functions. Only four functions. First one is this my presentation? Just keep with the introduction. I'm not going to the presentation now. Keep this was the first slide. Okay. Islamic political system and Islamic history, Islamic political thought. I wrote a book about the history of Islamic political thought. It translated into 4 languages, into Farsi, Urdu, Kurdish, and is published in Arabic. In this book, I discovered that Islam, the foundation of Islamic political system, is as a system that has a weak state and a strong society. The society is the center of Islam, not the state. The state used to do only 4 functions: outside defense, internal security, judicial system, and zakat. That's all. But the rest of the functions used to be run by the state, by the society. Education used to run by awqaf, health system by awqaf, trade and commercial, industrial, all the functions used to be run by the civil or I mean by the private sectors. So her idea about society should be independent from the state and religion relate to the society is very important idea, which many countries in the Arab world missed this point. So please go to the second slide. In this presentation, I will go through the how religious education can play a role in bringing cross-cultural affinities and relationship and building sustainable societies and sustainable communities. In the Arab world, my presentation was focusing on the Arab world. I had nothing related to Southeast Asia. This is my main area of study. So I'll give you example of the education systems in the Arab world and how the reform took place. In the Arab world, since 1805, 2 centuries and 20 years now, the educational reform started with Muhammad Ali in Egypt and then moved to Tunisia with Bai in Tunisia. Both of them started reforming education, but all of them, they started reform since that point, since Muhammad Ali in Egypt in the early 19th century till Nasser in the mid of 20th century. It happened with religious education to bring about a change after a change, reform after reform. But all of these reforms missed 2 main or major points. They missed the purpose of reform. They didn't have a clear vision. Reform for what? To achieve what? To which goal? They were sick and unhappy with the existing educational system, and they wanted to bring or to change to a new one, but they didn't have any clue about the characteristics, the shape, the goal of the new one. So the reform failed. The second point, they didn't study the existing educational system. So they didn't know the point of departure, and at the same time, they didn't know the or the point of arrival or the goal. So both of all these reforms, unfortunately failed and didn't bring about a fundamental change in the society. And from that point, from this point, go to the second one, please, and go to the third one now. This kind of reform was like sometimes deconstructive, not constructive reform. So we have this kind of, especially in Islamic in religious education in the Arab world. It is missing the point of what they wanted to achieve, and at the same time they neglected the importance of the existing system. This led to another complication in society. In society at that point, we have a duality of educational systems, one rooted in history and one embracing the Western educational system. And those 2 systems, they stayed together, they continued together for 2 centuries till today. So you have one of them graduating people who has nothing to do with the modern world. They don't study anything has to do with realities, social sciences, or humanities. They studied only historical, classical subjects. They are deeply rooted in the heritage, but at the same time, you have another educational system graduating students who are deeply entrenched in the Western and modern sciences, but unfortunately, they are not having the same level of education, of knowledge about the modern sciences. With one exception, only in Morocco. If you go to Morocco, you find this kind of connectivity. The Islamic studies and the modern studies are, both of them, in the same level. You find the Islamic scholars are knowledgeable about Western schools, ideas, philosophies, and the opposite. You have the secular or so on, they are deeply rooted in Islamic heritage. This is the only healthy educational system in the whole Arab world. You find it in Morocco only, but unfortunately in my country, in Egypt, is not the case. Al-Azhar in one side and the modern universities in the other side. Next, please. I did a study of the existing curricula on Islamic studies in the Arab world. I reached these outcomes, these 8 outcomes of surveying many countries. What is the content of the Islamic or religious study curricula in the Middle East? I found it has no system there. It is just a pile of information, contradicting information coming from different areas. Also, it contains contradictory values. Sometimes has the idea of peace and the idea of conflict, the respecting women and subordinating women, belonging to this life and being active and neglecting this life and looking for the hereafter and so on. So these characteristics, you will find it there. One of the major characteristics is a patrilineal, male-centered curricula. It has nothing, it doesn't give the women any rule or any rights, and only limited. When they even introduce role models for women, they only stick with the wives of the Prophet, and after that they didn't mention any role of women elsewhere. And it is far away from reality. Teaching subjects has to do with history. So they take the students out of their life and just and entrench them in the history that make them historical agents, not living in this. It is fiqhi mentality, producing fiqhi mentality or jurisprudential mentality, which we are suffering now. That everything has to be halal and haram. Everything you have to ask the mufti whether I have to do it or not. So just forgetting about Islam is two things. Islam is jurisprudence or fiqh and values. The fiqh is very limited. Out of 6,336 ayat in Quran, 370 ayats in ahkam, and 6,000 about akhlaq, ethics, values, thinking, nature, everything. So this kind of education created a fiqhi mentality that everything has to be asked, whether it's halal and haram, and make the fuqaha or the mullahs or the ulama the highest authority in the society, and everybody is asking them for anything, whether I listen to music or not, eat pizza or not. So we have to ask them all the time. So next slide, please. I'll be short. So here is another question I wanted to raise, but I will answer, of course. So what is meant by Islamic education? Does it refer to the teaching of Islamic knowledge, disciplines, and information, or disseminating of Islamic values? This is a big issue. All over the Arab world, 5 minutes, okay. All over the Arab world, all the educational, and I think elsewhere, all the Islamic education is just information, piles of information, and neglecting about the other aspects. Islam is not information. Islam is set of values. And I think all religions are set of values, not information. But unfortunately, what is taught, and this is how we are producing citizens, how we are producing human beings or global citizens, through this education. So they think that the religion is only information, nothing else. Next slide, please, because I have to run now. the point here, but we are facing a big difficulty. I go to the technical things now. It is difficult to teach values. So how to develop a curriculum with value-based curricula? I will give only one example. This example is very important. When this paper is, I have to tell you, this paper is based on a real experience. I spent 10 years in the Emirates. I was in charge of restructuring, redeveloping, rewriting Islamic curricula from K-12 for 12 grades. So in all schools in the United Arab Emirates, they are studying the books I supervised in Islamic studies and developed according to this agenda. I started from General Park. General Park ruled. He was a first president or second president of South Korea. He started a presidency 1963 till he died 1979. He thought that we need to take off Korea. What to do? The main idea was to change the educational system. He started with forming a committee called Filtration Committee. He said we have 3 traditions. We have the Korean traditions, we have the Japanese and the American. What to do with all of them? He formed the committee and he assigned the committee to do 3 things. To specify the functional values and let these values go through the curriculum. And the dysfunctional values, the values which prevent people from being active, productive, good citizen, get involved in economy and so on, to remove it completely from the curriculum. And there are values which double-faced values, 2 faces values, like respecting elders. It is a good value for solidarity, but sometimes it prevents promotions or dreams. So these values we should emphasize on this one. So this is my model for developing. Next, please. This is just some directions. I sent to the committee the presentation and the paper itself, so you can read it because we don't have time. Go to the next, please. All of these are the main principles for how to build a value-based educational curriculum. And then, next, please. 3 more slides. I will go through it very quickly. Next. Out of these, this is the curriculum I designed for the United Arab Emirates, and it is there for the schools. I changed completely the Islamic studies, the traditional curriculum, into value-based curriculum, and it has 15 main subjects go through from grade 1 to grade 12 for 12 years, all the pre-university education. These the main subjects. It goes through grade 1 to grade 12. In each grade they have lessons. So emphasizing on ibadah, that ibadah is the main principle of Islam, strengthening the individual and communal values, the idea of ihsan, strengthening the relationship with Quran as a source of knowledge, not just memorization, and a source of knowledge, source of values, and the same thing with the prophetic tradition. And then Islamic Sharia should be attaining Sharia that help a human being in life. So when we teach Salat, we should teach Salat in a way that benefit the student or emphasize on the values of organization, cleanness, respecting time. This is the main essence of Salat, not just sports, not just practicing. It is the idea there is how to reflect in the human life. Next, please. One of the points, I will emphasize 2 points, and then you can read it here. One of the points of the prophetic autobiography. All Islamic studies book, they introduce the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, 1 minute or 2 minutes, I'm sorry. they emphasize on the Prophet ﷺ as in the ghazawat, in the battles, as a Prophet was fighting all the time. If you look at the Prophet, all the battles of the Prophet, it takes 2 months out of 23 years. So all the ghazawat, 23 years of the Prophet's time, 2 months. If you count all the ghazawat, and this has created ISIS, created Al-Qaeda, because everything they know about the Prophet is fighting, battles, ghazwa, whatever. We reintroduce the Prophet history in terms of function. The Prophet as a shepherd, as a merchant, as a father, as a neighbor, as a husband, as a teacher, as a leader, not ghazawat, for what functions. The second point I wanted to raise, in this curriculum there was no rule for women, so we decided to make in every single grade 2 role models, 1 male, 1 female, in every single subject of life, and I will mention one of them. The first university in Islamic history established by women. It was established 227 in Morocco, in Fas. Al-Qarawiyyin University established by Fatima al-Fihriya. And Fas took the name from the Fas, the axe. She made the axe out of gold to hit the first foundation of the University of Al-Qarawiyyin. So this is the role of women. So we emphasized on the role of women as Islamic civilization built in 2 shoulders, one for man and one for woman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Nasser, for your presentation. It's very interesting related to the Islamic education curriculum. And now we move to the second. I'm sure that the participant want to ask, but please keep your question for a while because we will move to the second speaker. We have Dr. Fakhruddin M. Mangunjaya. He is a leading eco-activist in the Muslim world who has been working to bring religion to bear in the pursuit of conversation goals since the 1990s. He is associate professor at School of Graduate Program Universitas Nasional, Chairman Center for Islamic Studies National, Fellow the Climate Change Leadership Center, and he has a long list of accomplishments, books he has written, initiatives he has started, and organization he has helped to fund out. He has helped train more than 1,000 clerics in delivering sermons and then connect science and religion with environmental content. And he is elected as one of 4 Muslim eco-warrior. Okay, so please warm welcome to Dr. Fakhruddin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, professors, doctors, all the scholars, respected guests, and this event, I'm delighted that I'm being invited for this forum. However, I'm an activist. I was teaching, I come like 12 years ago to university. I used to work along 20 years with international NGOs. And at that time, I see there is a gap. If you go to the forest, sometimes the respected leadership, as Ibu Siti say, is religious and adat leaders. I went to many parts of Indonesia. I went to the Papua, heartland of Borneo, Sumatra. What is the first place to visit if you want to engage with the community? It is religious leaders. They are respected, they are influential at the community, and they are very effective transformer to engage with people. That is why the climate change issue is not something new for them. And we need to bridge this is an academic knowledge, science and everything, to religious connectiveness with the spirit of religious belief. As well, we get connected the integration of science and religion. If you see, second slide, please. If you see, this is the source of emission that we have to solve, which is all depend on our lifestyle. We have coal mining for our electricity, which is now oversupply. That's why we are hard to get the solar panel from the PLN. We are burning fossil fuel also for our transportation every day. In all the world, we are come to this conference, we are burning fossil fuel. We are emitting our emission still. But this is the main root of the climate change. What antagonic what we do? So, next to the third slide, please. So that is why it's called now, because the emissions is larger and the volumes of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere now increased to more than 400 per million, 400 ppm. So if you can compare it 1990s, when I was young, I'm come to Jakarta from Borneo, I was still using my jacket when I visited Bandung in 1980s. So the ppm at that time is 350. But now after 30 years, the ppm gas concentration at the atmosphere, which is influence also the temperature of the earth, is 400 plus. If you see that from the Mola NOAA, Hawaii, the measure is updated every day. So that's why the culprit of that is from the emissions. It can be from the burning of the forest, from the transportation, from the electricity, etc., etc. That is why now the gas is increasing, the temperature of the earth is also increasing globally more than 1.2. So we want to stop to 1.5 at least. And this year, last June, is the hottest years on over the human history. So the the President of Secretary General of United Nations say that we are on global climate boiling, not only climate change, climate boiling, because very hot. In Saudi Arabia, in Middle East, I went to Egypt last year. There was a COP. It's very rare rain down there. The temperature can increase to 40 to 45. In Saudi Arabia, in Mecca, if you're doing Hajj, it's very difficult to stay outside. So everybody come to the Masjid Haram at the night. So when you expected you do tahajjud at the Masjid Haram in 1 or 2 a.m., the Masjid Haram will be full with the people because they expected the same thing. They was very comfortable to do a tawaf. That is why we have ambition to stop that 1.5 or 1 or 2. That is why the commitment Fourth slide, please. Next slide. The commitment, we should be only 1.5 or at least 2. That is why the Paris Agreement was signed 2015. And we are Indonesian, have NDC, Nation Contributor Determined. So we can have some target to decrease our emission by stopping using fossil fuel. You see, next slide, please. This is the emission that we burn every day globally. This is nation state. For developed countries, America, Europe, they are burning fossil fuel like this every day for industries. They produce computer, mobile, car, everything, and for human production. Next, this is our production. This year is hot years in the country, and again we are burning our forests. In 2015, the case was when we have problem burning the forest. 1 month of burning of the forest like this in 2015, the emission, the gas emission, polluted the atmosphere equal to German emission for 1 year. We are only burning forest for only 1 month. So if German can produce computer, BMW, Volkswagen, everything, we are burning our forest by polluting that. So that's why the prevention of that is very important. Next, please. This is the impact of the climate change. As we, this is in Pakistan. We are also often to see that in Indonesia because of the climate anomaly. That is why next, the climate change is happen now. Is within us. 2015, the Islamic scholar gathered in Istanbul. We declare Islamic Declaration on Global Climate Change. One of the process is saying like this, that we have to tackle the habit, mindset, and the root causes of climate change, environmental degradation, and the loss of biodiversity, and particular spheres of influence following the example of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and bring about a resolution to the challenge that now face us. So we are trying now, this conference also trying to make a solution like that. That's why next, I was invited as one of drafting scholar of Islamic Declaration, together with many scholars to participate, alhamdulillah. And the next years, we also participated on this document. It's called Strategy for the Activation of Cultural and Religious Factor toward the Protection of Environment and the Achievement of Sustainable Development. This is a technocratic document that you can browse in the internet. It is available in Arabic and English. It is strategy being studied. It is a white paper adopted by 57 Ministry of Environment of Islamic countries. And what is that? They have like 6 strategies to activate how Muslim can participate for the environment and climate change. One of the sample next, one of the sample is the wakaf. For example, Professor had just said that Islamic finance is not controlled by the state. but they have a finance system that can participate for educations and for the well-being of the people, particularly Muslim as well and non-Muslim. For the Wakaf, annual Wakaf donation in Indonesia estimated 12 billion US dollars, which make this mode of Islamic financing an excellent avenue to fund sustainable project. Next, we have fatwa. We still believe with the ulama, of course, and we ask also contemporary fatwa. We have 7 fatwa on environment released by Majlis Ulama Indonesia, Indonesian Council of Ulama. Two of this fatwa is we pursue it from university, from the NGOs and activists. We asked was regarding the fatwa of the protection of wildlife, because we have many biodiversity, wildlife, and for the keeping of the balance of the ecosystem. We have to concern also because Islam teaches very positive on managing the nature as a creation. All the things created by God is ayah. Ayah is the signs of God. Next, the fatwa impact. Does the fatwa have any impacts? Their dissertation on impact about purpose of the burning of the forest. I should be very quick. Next, this is the cleric that we train together with the government, with the Badan Restorasi Gambut and Majlis Ulama Indonesia. We also disseminate the capacity building of the ulama to disseminate that, and we measure. Next, this is the sukuk scheme that been released by, I think, with the leadership of the Majlis Ulama and Kiai Ma'ruf as Vice President. He have very good initiative to make the eligibility to support for the sukuk, green sukuk, by using the Islamic economic jargon to help the environment. You can learn about the sukuk later on. Next, this is one sample of the wakaf in Istiqlal. Istiqlal now using 50% of its energy from solar panel. I think university could also using wakaf for wakaf energy. We're using that for pesantren as well. Good using that. Next. This is also next from what leaders, policymakers, and corporate and finance can do. Is quoted Islamic Declaration on Climate Change. Their concern from unethical profit from the environment, and also commit themselves to 100% renewable energy. That should be the target for the future. Next, last but not least, we have also my instrumental with our society. This is our project in Universitas Nasional. We call it Eco Pesantren. But we not establish any Eco Pesantren, but we are tracking the participation of pesantren by using internet things. So we have 50 pesantren participated, and they are platform to learn together, either the on-site or through website. We have a website system. Next, so we have program, the Eco Pesantren program with self-assessment. Next, this is the 10 program of Eco Pesantren. Not all of this being can be achieved by pesantren, but we educate to empower them. Empowering them with the facility, with short courses and MOOC, massive open online course. Next, Yes, this is the web tracking. We have web tracking system, empowerment on site, and also award to appreciate. Time is up. Okay, thank you very much. I don't want to go further, but I hope the question and answer will be very interactive later on. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Fakhrudin, for the nice presentation. And now I would like to invite Professor I.M. Halimatul Sa'diyah, PhD. Currently, she is a Director of Research at Center of Islamic and Community Studies, PPIM UIN Jakarta. And she is a full professor on development sociology study. He has a numerous work on sociology, politics, and gender study. Professor Iip also served as visiting fellow in the Regional Social and Cultural Study Program, ICIS Yusuf Ishak Institute. Please welcome Professor Iip.
Thank you so much, Bu Mutia, and thank you so much, Professor Amelia, for inviting me in this conference. It's an honor for me to be here today. This morning, I would like to present a short research findings with the entitle of Why Are Muslim Countries Vulnerable to Climate Change? And because I'm from Faculty of Social and Political Science, so I would like to looking at the political perspective on these issues. Would you like to share the, yeah, okay, next please. So I will begin my presentation with a very basic definition, and I think everyone here already know what is climate change. It's a long-term changes in temperature. So I just would like to show you how there is a significant shift in the causes of climate change from, considering as a natural consequence, such as the significant volcanoes eruptions or changing in sun activities. But then after or since 1800s, since the Industrial Revolution begins, since the science and technology begin, climate change significantly caused by human activities. In this case, it's because a result of the burning fossil fuels. And it become emitting greenhouse gases, which causing temperature to rise, that we can see nowadays. Like this year is considered as the hottest years for our countries, and I think it's also happened in other part of the world as well. And when we talk about emitting greenhouse gases, so my question is, which countries are the biggest emitters? This is, I use the data from, the data from Global Carbon Project. They calculated the top CO2 emitting countries from 1750 to 2021, and we could see here that US is the biggest emitter, and followed by China. And then for the year 2020, the composition is not really changing. China is the one and US is the second. But what is the biggest trend that we could see from this data is that wealthy countries are responsible the most for emitting CO2. Then, next please. Next please. I forgot to say next. Okay. Now the next question is, when we know the polluter, now we could see which country are impacted the most of the climate change. Based on this map, you could see that this is the opposite. While you could see that the wealthiest country is the biggest emitter, on the other hand, developing countries, the least developed countries, are those suffer the most of the impact of climate change. And because of the condition, I would like to move to the next slide, which focus more on Muslim countries, because I would like to see, we could see in this map as well, where Muslim lives. There are different proportion of Muslim around the world. you could see here the projection from Pew Research shows that by 2030, 70% of Muslim worldwide are anticipated to live in Muslim majority countries. And where the Muslim majority countries are mostly developing countries. So in this case, if we correlate with the previous slide, that because most of the Muslim or Muslim majority countries are developing countries, they are vulnerable to climate change. So next. So in this presentation, actually, basically, I would like to answer these questions. Why are Muslim countries vulnerable to climate change? Next. Before I start with answering the question, I would like to start with, again, with the very basic concept definitions of vulnerability. There are various scholars already define what is vulnerability, but here I would use the definition of the tendency or predispositions of experience adverse event, and the lack of capability to adjust and cope with the harm. And vulnerability also could be seen in both human and ecological system. And why it's important for us to understand, to assess vulnerability is because when we talk about the theme of today's session about resilience and adaptation, so vulnerability is the key, the important key in planning the climate change adaptation policies, and also determining actions to increase resilience. Okay, next. This is also some literature reviews on the issues of vulnerability and what the scholar says about what causes of vulnerability to climate change. There are many studies have been done on these issues, of course, and from the study, I could see that study mostly focuses on the natural science perspective. So consequently, because of this focus of the studies, climate change adaptation and resiliency strategies heavily focus on technical and environmental aspect because of the focus on natural science perspective. But then there is a significant shift again from technical perspective to looking at how socio and economic perspective affecting the climate change vulnerability. Next. And this is some example of some studies who identify several factors or variables that contribute to climate change vulnerability, such as forestry, agricultural system, where they are impacted the most, but they, at the same time they can minimize the impact of climate change vulnerability. And also in terms of economics, poverty could be considered as one of the factors that makes certain country more vulnerable to climate change. And also in terms of human population, human development, they also consider as some factor contributing to the level of country's vulnerability to climate change. Next. My next question, the important question that I would like to answer from this research is, how about politics? When you could see before that most of the study focus more on the technical aspect. Well, how about the political factors? Why political factors is important in looking at the issues of climate change vulnerability? Because some scholars mentioned that actually vulnerability is political. Because understanding political factors can help navigate the directions of adaptation practices, as I mentioned before, and also we could adopt the strategies that are equitable for minimizing the impact of climate changes. And also some study looking at how the state capacity and political institutions have impact in the efficiency of the climate change adaptation and strategies. And also looking at the political stability, yeah, some scholars also looking at unstable political conditions and the lack of effective formal institution can be a barrier to climate change adaptations. And considering this literature review, so I use several data, secondary data worldwide and collected for only, actually there are other Muslim countries, but in this data set that I collected, I only analyzed 43 Muslim countries. And I used the analysis of FSQCA, fuzzy set qualitative comparative analysis, and this analysis is slightly different with regression, but this is more like looking at the absence and the presence of the condition that contribute to certain outcomes. So in this analysis, I use several variables that contribute, considering as variables or dependent variables to the climate vulnerability, such as GDP for measuring the economic size, population density, agricultural areas, next, and then also forest areas. And then in terms of political indicators of variables, I include government effectiveness, political stability, regulatory quality, and then next, political rights, civil liberty, and gender development. These are some socio-political variables that I include in my analysis. Next. So how about the findings? The findings of the analysis shows that there are different pathway or condition that might contribute to the level of Muslim countries' vulnerability to climate change. As you could see in the first line, in the first row, it's so high climate vulnerability. So the condition, on the right side, you see cases. The cases is those Muslim countries that considered in these categories, like Afghanistan, and also unfortunately Indonesia also include there. So 1 considering the presence of the condition and 0 considering the absence. So as you could see here, in the pattern of the first group, what is absent are regulatory quality, political stability, and government effectiveness. So it's like confirming the previous literatures that the effectiveness of the government in implementing the policy, the consistency of the state in implementing the policies on climate change and the political stability is very important in ensuring the level of the country's vulnerability to climate change. And for this category, we could see that this country doesn't have this condition. Because they don't have this condition, so they fall into categories of high climate vulnerability. While for the others, the condition is there, especially like you could see the last one on Qatar. Qatar has every variable, the presence of every condition except forest. The data show that the Qatar doesn't have a quite huge forest area, but with the political condition that they have, they still consider as having low climate vulnerability compared to other Muslim countries. So those the main finding of my research. And the finding of my research also confirmed by other study in the context of Middle East, MENA countries. As you could see here, the author Namdar, he analyzed the climate change vulnerability of all MENA countries, and he got several clusters from low vulnerability to very high vulnerability. While my studies is only like categorized low and high, but in this study, the author like have a wider range from low, medium, high vulnerability to very high vulnerability, and it's confirming my previous finding that, like for example, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain included in the first cluster of low vulnerability of climate change. Next. And I just want to highlight the main findings here. Again, that the 3 political factors like regulatory quality, political stability, and government effectiveness is a necessary condition for a country for having a low level of climate vulnerability. If this condition do not exist, for example, in the context of Indonesia, if we still have like low level of state capacity in dealing with the issues of climate change, so Indonesia will be still vulnerable to the context of climate change. And next, because the time is up, this is the example, the analysis for climate action tracker to show how the positions of Indonesia in the context of Indonesia already submitted updated national determined contributions, but as the analyzed here, in terms of policy and actions, the positions of Indonesia is still considered insufficient in the context of policy. So that's why the variable that I mentioned before, the government willingness, commitment to deal with the issues of climate change is important. And right now we have like political timing. So this is the right time to choose which president who go for environment, I think. But you could decide which president, or none of them. But I think this is the right time to decide whether our leader will be pro or go green president or not, considering the importance of the policy to deal with the issues of climate change in Indonesia. Next. And I would like to, previously, I would like to compare with Bahrain and Qatar that consider having low climate vulnerability here. You could see that Bahrain have several policies and programs focusing on how they tackle the climate change in their countries. They have a very good national strategy for environment, for example, and they also have a joint national committee on climate change. They also have a certain environmental legislative system, and recently they just, in 2022, they just established Ministry of Sustainable Development. So it's focused on sustainable development. That's what make Bahrain, the policy, the government and the state is very responsible and to the issues of sustainability development and also climate change. And also they support the renewable energy project to improve the energy efficiency. As you could see here, the building in Bahrain, I've never been there before. Maybe Papa Rudin already been there, or Pa Arif. This is World Trade Center in Bahrain, two identical opposite tower, and they use clean energy to operate this building. They use windmill technology. This is to showing how the Bahrain support for green and sustainable development in their countries. Next, I would like to move on to Qatar, how they consider as a country with low level of vulnerability. Again, they also have several policy. The government has several policy and programs related to the issues of environment, like they engage in international cooperation for greener futures. They also support global effort to promote sustainability to project, and they give some donation to a global context in issues of climate change. And also Qatar has a national economic and climate change strategies in their countries. The government provide this. And then also, again, newly established in 2021, they have the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. So it's specifically to address the issues of climate change in the countries. And also, they have a commitment to the environmental research. So beside the development, they also establish a research hub to meet a researcher with develop innovation and technology, but in more green and sustainable project. And the last, Qatar also developed sustainable cities, green transport, and source for clean energy. Qatar is considered as the biggest exporter for clean fuel. So that's why they consider as having low level of vulnerability. Because the time is up, so I will conclude with my conclusion, but the conclusion is, I just want to highlight that political factors that might be neglected before actually it has important role in determining the level of countries' vulnerability. In this context is Muslim countries' vulnerability to climate change. Especially in my study, I found that regulatory quality political stability and also government effectiveness or state capacity, high state capacities is important to minimizing the vulnerability of Muslim countries in the context of climate change. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof. Iim. And we have very limited time, but I want to invite a question from the participant. Is there any question for the Professor Arif maybe and Pak Fahrudin or Professor Iim? Is there any question from the participant? Or I'm the one who want to ask? Is there? Oh, okay. So please give microphone. Is there any other microphone? Microphone, please. To give to the.
Thank you very much for all speakers. It's very inspiring. My first question is to Prof. Arif. In the context of the climate change, and then you see that the curriculum in most of the Islamic educational institutions still lack to keep up with the contemporary challenges. And then are there any kind of reform that do you offer in order to reform the curriculum of the Islamic educational institution in order to keep relevant and then address the contemporary challenges, especially in the context of the climate change? Thank you. And then the second one to Dr. Fahrudin. You have run the Eco Pesantren project. I don't know how is the progress of the Eco Pesantren, and then do you think that we have thousands pesantren all over Indonesia. Do you think that Eco Pesantren can be applied in all pesantren in Indonesia, and what are the challenges? And then for Prof. Iim, from your presentations that there seem to be a climate injustice where the developing countries are the most affected by the climate change, while the developed countries are the most contributing for the climate change. How to make such injustice into the global justice? I don't know. We know that developed country has the previous time where they can accelerate their industrializations, and then now when developing country would like to undertaken their industrialization, they have to stop and make slow progress because of the climate change threat. So what kind of action that could be address such global injustice? Thank you.
Okay, I will give another 2 person more. So, Bu Professor Siti Ruhaini.
Okay, thank you very much, moderator. And I'm delighted to learn from the 3 speakers about, one is actually the important to relate the current challenge. The current challenges, one of those is the climate change. But before going further, maybe it's not a question, but I think what has been presented by Professor Arif is exactly things that we also we have done also in Indonesia how to revise and to revisit the curricula of our Islamic studies and also Islamic subject. In 2002, the Minister of Religious Affairs undertaking revised curriculums. Exactly that we have to minimize, and in that time we just remove all the Ghazwa part, I mean the war, to the elementary and secondary schools. So that is we focusing more on how Islam is responding to build new civilization, at least participating in the new civilization. So in 2002, I was in that theme to revise the curriculums. And it is exactly also that it happens in, I think, so all the Muslim countries that we have to revisit, especially the fundamental curricula, educational curricula for that. And my question is to Professor Arif is that these initiatives can be expanded to other Muslim countries, realizing, as I mentioned earlier, that the incompatibility of the curricula, our school curricula, resulted in the gaps in understanding the modernity, including the modern state, and also all the existing challenges that we have in also climate change. And to both Mas Fahrudin, Pak Fahrudin, and also Prof. Im, what is actually the concrete translations of religious teachings to tackle with climate change, realizing that we solely rely on the normative fatwa that sometimes not really translated in concrete way when it's come to such issue. Yeah. So that is, we still also have the homework on how to translate the fatwa to anti-corruption, for example, climate change, and the things that really, as Professor Arif highlighted, that this is actually thing didn't exist in our Islamic studies, Islamic education in the past. And the State Islamic University has to be the active agencies actually to make this the normative fatwa to become much more public virtues and also maybe guidance to the people. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry because of the limited of time, so we only have two person to have that question. So I give it to the professor and for the speaker to answer.
Thank you so much. Actually, for the climate change and the Islamic curriculum, we introduced one of the 15 main, elements of the curriculum for the 12 years. In each year, there is a lesson or two about environment. We put it in the environment. We put it authentically. Islam has this vision before the idea of climate change. The first natural reserve was Mecca. So Mecca during the Hajj prohibited killing even an ant. You can't. So the first, and if you look at the prophetic traditions regarding the consumption, Islam is a religion which emphasizing on reducing the consumption, not increasing the production. So always the consumption should be wise. And I'll give you one example. The Prophet ﷺ said, the kafara for torturing a bird is to eat it. So if you have to do kafara, if you torture a bird or just harm a bird, the kafara for that is to eat this bird, to transform it from non-benefit side to the beneficial side. So it is there, and I think it is there in the curriculum. We introduced it, but it needs to be enlarged based on the new development and so on. Professor Dr. Rahini, yes, you are right. This is a very fundamental element. We need to change the whole, the Islamic studies curricula to meet the needs of the society. Islam is a set of values, and I was talking to my colleagues here, Dr. Fawzia, in the morning, that since 2009, I adopted a new approach of de-Arabization of Islam. Freeing Islam from the Arab mentality, because Islam is a set of values and the principles interacting with the current life of every society and creating a new model. So Islam is not not historical, not geographical. So free Islam from the history and free Islam from the Arabs. So Islam is one set of values. It interacts freely with the existing societies in time and place, and in each time produce a new model. And because of that, we are saying Islam salih لكل زمان ومكان. Islam is valid for every time and every place. And we don't apply it. To apply it is to free ourselves from pre-thinking and from regional dominance of Islam. Thank you.
Okay. Ibu Nur asking regarding Eco Pesantren. There's 39,000 Eco Pesantren. How you do that? That's why it is starting. Everything is starting one step, right? So we never succeed if we are not doing anything. So this pesantren is potentially the cadre of Islamic civilization. I understand there are many leading national leaders, nationally, internationally, such as Ibu Siti is coming from pesantren, I think. And they need to be empowered as well to introduce with not mainstreaming of their curricula, because it's a very long-term engagement, using many steps. However, this Eco Pesantren program, ecopesantren.com, you can type it in the internet, is going to educate the pesantren easily how to measure themselves of what can they do for the environment. It is also their need. Actually, all pesantren have problem with the garbage. If the pesantren have, for example, 1,000 students, they might dumping the garbage 1 ton per month. You can imagine how they then survive, also make an example for the community if they're doing that. And the pesantren have very engaged to the community. The parent and the father coming and they lecturing also in the engagement with the kiai, with the leader of the pesantren. So it's my influence to them. So that is why this is a first step we engage. We will hopefully can have a success to BOT, Build on Transfer. We are engaged with the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Religious Affairs, PD Pontren, Director PD Pontren. We have MOU. We create the internet things, the measurement of the benchmarking the Eco Pesantren, because many people asking where is the Eco Pesantren. I've been experienced about 15 years engaged with Eco Pesantren, including my dissertation was also Eco Pesantren research. So that's why we found the baseline of that, and then we make an instrument how to engage with the pesantren. This is a platform, so everyone open to invest. If we want to engage, please. We want to get. We have 30,000 pesantren. If you have 1,000 each year, 39 years. You can imagine. So we can work together. We open for that. And Ibu Siti is asking a concrete action of the. Yeah, this is the problem of fatwa. They are staying on the top. Sometimes they are not being disseminated to the grassroots. So in the case of that two fatwa, but we pursue it because we are from NGOs, academia, and government. We mediate to government to pursue it and putting that on the budget. So by that, we can disseminate together with us, and we make a training dissemination for the pesantren. On the other side, NGOs also helping us to disseminate. So this is a parallel program. So it's not staying like, putting the only that document for the fatwa yearly. Terima kasih.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Bu Nur, for your questions. Yeah, I do agree. We could see how. So that's why there are a lot of action they call climate justice, because the condition is already injustice. There is unequal power relation here, and unequal power relation could happen everywhere, not only in the context of countries among countries or in a global context, the country with the hegemonic power while the other very, unpowerful. But we could also see in the context, for example, in household, power relation between male and female. For example, in my other studies, I found that women are more pro-environmental behavior compared to men, significantly significant. And one of critics on this finding, because women often socialize to the pro-environmental behavior. You have to recycling your garbage. You have to do some domestic activities. So it seems that the responsibility of environment, or it's called feminizations of environmental responsibility. So the responsibility to taking care of the nature, taking care of the environment is the responsibility of the women. While in one side it's good, of course it's good. We have women who are pro-environmental, but it seems that, put the responsibility on the women. It shows unequal power relation. That's in a very small unit. But we could move to, in the context of countries, in countries, within countries, in the global context. That's why there are a lot of international agreement and cooperation, how a country with a big polluter, they should contribute more. But again, because of the unequal power relation, sometimes what we expect do not really happen smoothly. So that's why we could see or witness many climate action pursuing for climate justice activities, activism among activists everywhere. And also, okay, because the time is up, I think we could discuss later on more after this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very interesting discussion, but our time is very limited, and this is the end of the plenary session 2. Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you very much for our 3 great speakers. We'll give applause to them. And I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you very much, and I give it back to the MC. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Nasir Muhammad Arif, Mr. Fahruddin Mangunjaya, and Professor E.M. Halimatus Sa'adiyah, PhD, for delivering such fruitful insight for us. As well as, we would like to thank our wonderful moderator for the session. Ladies and gentlemen, moving up to our last plenary session today. This time we bring you an interesting session under a title, Contemporary Challenges in Implementing SDGs, Environmental, Geopolitical Famine, and Poverty Issues. Ladies and gentlemen, we do hope that you still possess a round of excitement for the upcoming interesting discussions, because the last plenary sessions will be delivered by Mr. William P. Sabandar, PhD, the chairperson of 5P Foundation, and Mr. Ahmad Kisai, PhD, from Paramadina Graduate School of Diplomacy. And this interesting session will be moderated by Mrs. Siti Aisyah MPhil, PhD. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Siti Aisyah.
Thank you. Good afternoon, participants. How are you? Are you still okay? Okay, we are going to continue the plenary too. This session, we are going to talk about contemporary challenges in implementing SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, namely environmental, geopolitical, famine, and poverty issues. And for this session, we have two great speakers, Mr. William P. Sabandar, PhD, and Mr. Ahmad Kisai, PhD. For both our speakers, I invite to the stage. Please welcome. Okay, because Bapak William only have until 12 o'clock, right? Okay, so we have short time here together with Bapak William. Bapak William, I will introduce about him. Bapak William is a Chief Operating Officer Indonesia Business Council, and also the chairman of 5P Foundation. Is it true? Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. So, Bapak William join us via online, yeah, via Zoom. I'm sorry, and okay. For the first opportunity, I will give to Bapak William to present, to deliver his speech. Please, Bapak William, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Can my voices be listened by you, by audience? Just check the voice, check the sound.
Yes, very clear.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Very clear. Okay.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm in the journey from Madiun to Solo, and apologize I cannot present physically there. So if you see me bumping like that, it's actually on the journey. But I think this event is very important. So thank you very much for the committee for inviting me to play a role in this session. As introduced by the moderator, my name is William Sabandar, and I am the chairman of the 5P Foundation. So 5P is actually stand for peace, prosperity, people, planet, and partnership. So the 5P Foundation is a non-profit organization who has a mission to share the value of those 5P. Peace, prosperity, people, planet, and partnership. So we believe prioritizing the 5P is a universally shared value, and we are the foundation started from Indonesia to promote the global movement through the 5P. So it's an honor for me to talk to this conference. The next slide, please, if somebody can help me with moving the slide because I don't have control of the slide. If you can go to the second slide. Is it the slide moving? So I cannot see the slide, please. Okay. So first, let me introduce to you the 5P Foundation. 5P Foundation was actually founded by Mr. Ashar Rashid, chairman of Kadin, and chairman of Indonesian Business Council, and he is also now the chair of the 5P Board of Trustees, while I am the chairman who is actually operationalizing the 5P Foundation. It was recently the ASEAN Summit this year on the 7th of July. Mobilizing. If we can move to the next slide, gathering mobilizing parties to socialize and advocate 5P sustainable development. So this was a global 5P movement. It was well attended by all ambassadors from ASEAN member states. We have also delegations from all over the world, and especially we have the roots of 5P, which is actually coming from village. So 5P was actually a community created initiative from a village in Lombok. We call it, or the name of the village is 5P values. Yeah. Striving for peace involves not only preventing conflicts, also I think if you can move to the next slide, please. Yes, this is what we do is actually on September 22. We had successfully held the 5 forum, and to be able to work on tackling the 5 issue that we had during the panel. We had a forum of 5P dialogue and interfaith dialogue as our flagship event. What we do is actually the 5P national programs and engagement. So we design the programs consist of 2 parts. We call it national and international level. At the national level, we had a program so-called 5P Village. In this program, we collaborate with a foundation named Eco Foundation, the local NGO in Lombok, who share the same value with the 5P. We visited Desa Genggaleng in Lombok, West Nusa Tenggara. There were also collaborating stakeholders to involvement of civil society. 3 years ago, but then we continued to and Lombok province until end of this year. We have also the program of 5P Goes to School. We engage with local schools started in Bogor. The program is set to begin in mid-November this month. So our aim is to share 5P value among high schoolers, and also other than that, we establish 5P students ambassadors from each schools that will conduct an inclusive project that align 5P value. Now we have the 5P across ASEAN member states. Now starting by next year, we also conduct 5P college community service. This program will collaborate with local universities who have KKN program, Kuliah Kerja Nyata. So we are cooperating with students engaged with local stakeholders to share the value of 5P. Next slide, please. So at the international level, sorry, I think before at the international level, can you go back? Yeah. At the international level, we have successfully established the 5P ambassadors. Within ASEAN countries, the ambassadors are youth from ASEAN countries that will be our front to share the value of 5P in their local community. We have visited Vatican, met the Pope there, and launched the 5P movement at the global level. And starting November, we will conduct a monthly seminar. In each webinar, we will collaborate with government, NGOs, at national and international level, media, scholars, and any other to discuss 5P issues. And by next year, we are set to start an annual forum, which we call the 5P Global Annual Forum. Next slide, please. Now, talking about the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs are a set of 17 goals established by the United Nations in 2015. It's a universal call to actions to end poverty, protect the planet, ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. Now, we are very much inspired, the 5Ps initiative were very much inspired by the SDGs, because the dimension of the SDGs are actually 5. Peace, prosperity, people, planet, and partnership. Next slide. However, there are challenges in implementing SDGs. Now first, let me start from environmental challenges. This is now, we have the climate change issues. SDGs recognize that tackling climate change is essential for sustainable eradication. SDG 13 aims to promote urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. So integrated approaches to sustainable development are crucial to achieving SDGs. So one of the efforts of the 5P is actually getting involved in the addressing environmental challenge. The second is actually geopolitical challenge. Nationalism and protectionism in many countries pose a geopolitical threat to the SDGs. Today, you see our world is so divided. You can see Ukrainian, at the moment we have the Gazan situations, which was terribly sad for all of us. War, civil unrest, and political instability can derail SDGs. Conflict can displace people, making it hard to provide them with education, healthcare, and other necessities. The third challenge is famine. Famine challenge is a severe shortage of food that results in widespread hunger and starvation. It is a complex issue that has been a challenge for many countries, especially those in the developing world. Even in Indonesia, we still have a place, people that still having issue with famine challenge. The global chronic malnutrition, like stunting, that problem that we have at the moment. And last is a poverty challenge. Poverty is a significant challenge in implementing SDGs. It affects many people's lives. So poverty is also affect people's ability to participate in the economy. Move to the next slide. So promoting social innovation can help tackle poverty and vulnerability, which are significant challenges that hinder implementation of SDGs. Social innovation provides beneficial social outcomes for citizens and other actors, often at the local level. Now, with a strong bottom-up involvement of civil society, that's what 5P is trying to move people together, to move community together. That's we address the challenge. We started from Lombok, West Nusa Tenggara, where we collaborate with local NGOs, local stakeholders on preserving environment. We engage with local stakeholders on beach cleanup at Gondang Beach. We also release 100 baby turtles to the sea. And during our founder's visit to Vatican, Rome, he introduced what we call it e-mobility, alpha electric vehicle to Pope Francis. Pope Francis is known for his interest in tackling environmental and humanity issues through various programs he has conducted with thousands of communities around the world. And we are keen to work together with the Pope on addressing this challenge. The next slide, please. To tackle the geopolitical challenge, we established the 5P Interfaith Youth Community. Our participation at this conference today, we want to be very close with the interfaith community. Also, we will conduct a monthly webinar to discuss many issues related to geopolitical challenge. We create togetherness and spread the value of 5P. 5P ambassadors will work to share 5P value to maintain peace, starting from their local communities. This must be promoted throughout society to solve the problem. That's why we introduce 5P goes to schools and 5P goes to university. The next slide is how to tackle the famine challenge. We work on social innovation and inclusions, and we believe from bottom-up movement through community empowerment. The 5P Foundation will work to encourage collaboration and partnership among government, international organizations, civil society, and private sector to help mobilize resources and expertise to address famine challenges and to achieve the SDGs. The next slide is tackling poverty. I'm close to the end of my presentation, but tackling poverty is one of the biggest challenges that every country must face. We will encourage local communities. We work with government agencies, other NGOs, and relevant stakeholders. The multi-stakeholders partnership approach will bring each of their core competence, unique knowledge, skills, assets, and resources, as well as wealth of experiences in dealing with poverty issues. The last slide is the 5P. In the 5P foundations, we believe in the value of partnership. We believe in the value of partnership. So in this opportunity, I would like to say we are open for any kind of cooperation and collaboration with all stakeholders. Be part of this seminar is actually our introduction of the 5P, and we want to be part of this community. Starting from us, we will give impact to others. Thank you very much.
Applause to Bapak William. We have still 10 minutes, about 10 minutes before 12. Maybe one of participants want to ask Bapak William. Before Pak William leave us.
Go ahead.
No one? No. Okay. Thank you, Pak William, for such an inspired speech. To the second speaker, we have Bapak Ahmad Kisai, PhD from Paramadina Graduate School of Diplomacy. I will introduce Pak Kisai briefly. Okay. So Pak Ahmad Kisai, he's an anti-corruption, democracy and governance expert with over 13 years of experience in designing, leading and implementing development programs in the areas of good governance, transparency and accountability, anti-corruption, rule of law, political representation, decentralized governance, civil society strengthening, and sustainable development goals, especially goal number 16. He completed all of his higher education in India, holding a BA in linguistics with Arabic literature and Islamic studies as the minor subjects from Aligarh Muslim University, is that right? Aligarh, and MA in political science with a focus on Indian state politics from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, India, and a PhD in political science from Aligarh Muslim University. So, all your educational journey from India. Okay, to Mr. Kisai, to Mr. Ahmad Kisai, the time is yours.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here, to be part of this academic exercise. When I heard Mr. William mentioning about geopolitical challenges, it seems like my task is over. Like, I don't need to share anything about this geopolitical challenges in the SDGs. He's covered everything, so I think, should I stop? Yeah, I mean, yeah, when we talk about this issue of SDGs. I know this is very interesting part. Earlier there have been discussion or say points mentioned by the speakers about the climate challenge and everything that relates to these SDGs. For me myself, today I'll just share a skeleton format of what is in my mind, because like when I was invited, it was very last minute, where like I just need to prepare a skeleton part. So I invite the early speakers who presented a full paper. That was so much amazing to see. All right. I'll start with the question that was presented in the TOR. How power dynamics and policy conflict can stimulate collective progress towards the SDGs. It is interesting when I first read the question, and that's why I wanted to focus on what is the real challenge in the SDGs, especially from the geopolitical perspective, and then what can we do about it, and what should be our response about this one. If you can go to the next slides, there'll be a very brief definition of what geopolitics is. It's all about the influence and power over space and territory, and it's about geographical frames, and it's about future-oriented. Why this thing matters, why this geopolitical aspect matters, because if we go to the next slide, then this is the core of the issue of the SDGs. If we look at the 17 goals, from goal 1 to 17, then there is this very brief description of, or say, elements within the SDGs. First is about social development. Second is about economic sustainability, and then there's environment sustainability. These are the core of what the SDGs are, and this cannot be achieved without the outer framework, that is the peaceful societies, as well as justice, and then accountable and inclusive institutions. And this is where we talk about geopolitics, where we talk about who is doing what and how, and as we mentioned, as mentioned earlier, there's also, say, if we can say original sin, then it is developed countries that actually has the responsibility to really respond to these challenges. Looking at what the presentation about the climate change, what happened today, and also the fact that the Muslim countries, for example, Muslim dominant countries, at the receiving end on this impact of climate change. For example, we go back in the 1500s, then we see what happened back in the Sweden, in the Scandinavian countries, where they did all those dirty things of exploitation, of environmental degradation, and everything. Then they realize that once they are now realizing about the fact that they've achieved everything, the prosperity, the richness, the everything, they start giving it to other other actors, that the developing countries, to be responsible on their one. And that's why, if and only if we cannot have kind of a global partnership as the overarching way of responding this issue of sustainable development goals, then everything will just be collapsed. And as we understand in next slides, in the recent reports, we can see what happened to the SDGs achievement. It's been established back in before SDGs was agreed back in 2015. There was this MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, that also provided an opportunity for global partnership, for a cooperation to end poverty, to end climate change, to end any illness in the society. And then it was agreed that in 2015, everyone agreed by 2030 we should end poverty. We should provide equal job. We should save the planet. We should very, very good things presented in the 17 goals. But then, as of we are approaching now it's 2023, right? It's just about halfway to go to 2030. And the fact is, like, more than 50% of targets is, not achieved so far. 30% of them mostly in the situation which is worse than it was in 2015, especially in the poverty, hunger, and climate issue. We understand the situation, it was presented earlier, the situation on the climate issue, the situation on the poverty, and then also the challenges that is being faced by the developing countries. And as we understood, yes, the key for achieving SDGs is about how the developed countries actually committed to provide necessary support, especially necessary funding or necessary financial, say, mechanism to achieve all the work that is being done globally. While the fact is, it is the developing countries that bear the brunt of those responsibilities. Yes, we had an NDCs of 20-something back somewhere, I don't know. The number just came up out of nowhere. The initial commitment on the carbon carbon emission at the time, but nobody knows why and how it happened. And then suddenly just came up, and then the Scandinavian countries decided to, okay, we will commit to provide you with all the funding and mechanism, but then the fact is, like, it never happened. They kept on providing promises, but it's just an empty promises, because once they provided once we are forced to, say, developing countries are forced to achieve that goal, then they will be faced with the fact that, okay, you need to do this, because this is our agenda. This is the common agenda, but the fact it's not really the agenda of the commons of developing and developed countries. And this kind of situation really matter of a real challenge when we talk about geopolitics, about how this the situation, the condition in one part of the world influencing other part of the world. But for me, next slide, please. For me, there are two things that actually I agree with these findings, actually, because this was presented somewhere, where the first is about nationalization of sustainability. I remember back in 2017, the Indonesian government was so committed in implementing SDGs. The National Development Plan was meant to be a national plan for Indonesia, but then it was claimed to be aligned with the SDG goal, for example. And then back in 2019, when the new national development was placed, SDGs was put there. But what does it mean, actually? Does it really want to, go for the common goal? Not exactly. It's just like every country, I'm just giving an example of Indonesia, other countries are definitely doing the same thing. What we meant by here of adjusting the national plan of a country, for example, is about having what they want through the mechanisms that is presented through SDGs mechanism. That's why when a country, when every country is actually presenting as if they contributing to the global agenda, then actually they are not. They wanted to achieve their own national interest. They frame their one as if it is a global goal. Just like I said earlier, when Indonesia is promised to have $1 billion from Norwegian government, I believe, it never happened. Never happened. It's been promised and promised. We are forced to do things, everything. It's good. It is good. But then the reality is otherwise. So nationalization of sustainability, or understanding, making sustainability as a national goal, as one unified goal, or say one goal presented and understood by a certain entity, then it created a challenge on achieving that SDGs. A second one is about striving the resource independence. What does it mean? It means like everyone seems like to be similar to what nationalization of sustainability, but then it's more into how do they want to have kind of independent how do we call it? Independent capacity to fulfill what they want. They wanted to be able to fulfill the needs for their programs, for the progress by themselves. It's created a challenge, it's created a problem, it's a conflict. What happened in Morowali, for example, where the Chinese investment is there, to the environment, or to other places in Indonesia, that is very much present. It is an example of how actually the country wanted to really strive for resource independence. How they wanted to get from other places, other countries, and then they preserve their own. It created a situation where it is contradictory to the fact that globalization, or no, the global cooperation is the key for achieving the SDGs. So what next? Last slide, please. What next? What can we do? The first, I think, is very important one is to be a resilience. What is resilience? What do we mean by resilience? Resilience is about being able to absorb, being able to absorb all the shocks so that we can really bounce back and really able to be in our own to counter whatever comes. For example, like now, as mentioned by the other speaker about what happened in the various conflicts, Gaza conflict, Ukraine conflict, it affected us. But then if we can create kind of sponge, not SpongeBob, but a sponge kind of mechanism to absorb that shocks and then to rebound from that one, the situation would be very, very powerful to be able to to sustain ourselves, to be able to get back to what we want. And the second one is co-petition. This is a combination between collaboration and competition, meaning like collaboration is more important than competition. As we understood, in the outset of this SDGs, there is a global partnership. But the fact is, each country that are committed to be part of these SDGs are competing with each other. They are at war with each other. They are at conflict with each other. Things would happen in Ukraine. Things would happen in Gaza or in Palestine. These are examples of the competition of resources that is happening. But look at this example of two rival companies, for example, DHL and UPS. They are competing with each other, actually. But then if they compete, they will they are together because they will not be able to achieve what they wanted. So if and only if countries can say imitate the way of companies to cooperate over, to collaborate over the intention of winning the resources, then it would be a very strategic way of engaging or strategic way of responding to the challenge of the geographical challenge of SDGs. How the Chinese government and the U.S. government in the past couple of I think earlier this year, they decided to get closer to really wanted to work together with the new administration, with the new objectives, and with the capacity of Chinese government. Both of them are actually competitors, but when they come together, there is a feeling of assurance that we can go through what is going on in the world. Just like in pandemic, we understand what happened. Everyone is just coming together despite all the enmity, despite all the competition that they had. for the sake of humanity. So I think if we can do this, if we can do these two things, the challenge of geopolitics in the forms of conflicts, in the form of war, in the form of competition, then I think let's be optimistic that we will be there. And with that, I think the remarks by the Secretary General of the UN about that unless we act now, the 2030 agenda will become an epitaph for a world that might have been, it will never happen. Inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for the great speech, Mr. Ahmad Kusai. It's very interesting because Mr. Kusai mentioned about the commitment, yeah. So many conference, so many meetings like this talking about environmental SDGs, blah, 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 blah. Everything is ideal values. But when we come to the commit the documents, we don't do it. It's like agenda behind agenda. This is just like a black agenda behind, or bad agenda behind, good agenda behind bad agendas. Is it true? Yeah, so I want to mention from my culture, I don't know, I always mention about cultural things. In my culture, Bugis, we say, taro ada, taro gau. What you say, that you do. So, so what we say, that you do. So, but what we are doing doing today, so many Platonic speech, but then in the reality, we do contrary. This is very sad, actually. And okay, I will give to the participants to discuss with our speaker today. So please, to participants who has questions to our speaker. Okay, from my corner, my side corner, please. The green veil one. From Gajah Mada.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the Mr. Kisai. I want to know your opinion about one of SDGs is reducing inequality, but we know. Now it's better now. Okay, Mr. Kisai, one of SDGs is reduce inequality. Yes, but we know still today, even in politics between nations or between economic, there are still so many inequality that keep coming, keep sitting. Yeah, we can't reduce inequality, but how SDGs wish to reduce inequality in reality? What do you think about it?
The second one, maybe, from participants, please. Okay, maybe you can answer directly.
It is a tough question, just like the question shared earlier to the earlier speaker, to Prof. Ima, I believe. She was asked about how do we transform injustice to global justice. I mean, yeah, it is very, very noble way of, imagining that through SDGs we can end inequality. Well, the fact is, it is really a situation that is, very, very good, but very hard to take a step toward that. As I mentioned in my earlier point, that I can answer this one in a way that I'm dreaming of, achieving that one. I mean, if and only if in this context of SDGs, as I mentioned, the developed country is really committed to contribute to what is tasked to them, then there could be a potential way of reducing inequality. That's a global way of engaging. But nationally, just like in SDG 16, justice, and strong institution. Strong institution means, in the context of nation, then a state should have the capacity to deliver. There should be participation. There should be accountability in it. There should be inclusion of women, disabilities, and other marginalized groups, youth, and other groups to participate in that process. But if it is not, then what is committed by, say, developed countries to the say, developing countries will not be happening if the institution is not able to deliver. That's one of the situation that could respond to how can we achieve that one. But how to start it? I believe that empowering us, each of individual. I think what mentioned by Mr. William was very important. People, if we can act now and we can do ourselves in whatever position we are, then we can start making change. I believe that that is one of the way to respond to that. Well, the fact is, I think it is very challenging. Even like when Mr. Fakhruddin was mentioning about empowering the local religious leader about environment, why should they be empowered? Why should they? But the fact is, they can do all the, invitation, campaign, education, but then they are not in a position to decide. It is those who have the capital. Just like what happened in Indonesian context here, we can talk to parliamentarians, we can ask them to do this. They'll say yes, yes, yes. But then in the context of political decision, it is those who are not in the parliament that decides. So it is kind of a satanic circle kind of situation. But to be optimistic, that's one of the way to. I think I agree with the first speaker that if we can start by from us, I think we can try to contribute better to respond to this inequality and injustice. We connect that one. Thank you.
Okay, I will give another opportunity. Okay, please. Kaviti? Yeah, please identify yourself, Bu.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'd like to ask about, in accordance to...
I'm sorry, please identify.
Oh, sorry. My name is Sylvia Fitrina from Fakultas Kedokteran UIN. Okay, my question is about political of identity, which is common we hear recently, especially during the political campaign. So, do you have any data or like survey data to explain us why is it so important, or why all the instances or all the group of party used to use these issues of political identity for their campaign? Why is it so important for to raise their vote? So, do you have any data or like a survey or like like survey data to explain why is it so important for the political of identity? What is the Indonesian people think this issue is so important to raise the vote for the election? Thank you very much.
Another difficult one. But it's good that we are, with a tough question, we are getting hungry earlier. The politics of identity, or politicization of identity, I think is very, very important and challenging situation, or say term. I don't have any data to say frankly about why this or say a survey data that reflects on this point. But then, theoretically speaking, I can say that in politics, and for the political parties, they need, to convert votes into seats to be in power. Political party is formed to win election, to win the power, to be in power. So it's natural then they try every single thing to make sure that they become, they are accepted and able to gain all the votes. Like I dress like this, for example, I go to the say communities that have similar appearance of myself, so I can identify that. Okay, please vote for me. I need your vote too, because I understand that the voters are coming from the similar background of things that I can camouflage. I'm not really part of the community, but I can identify myself with that one. I want to go back to, I want to go to a point in India. India is more complex than Indonesia. Back in the 50s, there's one Indian political scientist who mentioned about, who stated that if Indian politics Indian democracy is getting matured, then caste system will evaporate, or will be eradicated. Caste system is very it's a very, how can I say? It's a system that can become the source of injustice, inequality, and other illness in the society. So that proposition was, the statement came, the fact that one man, one vote, one value of the democratic way of looking at competition. But moving forward, starting in 1990s, when Indian democracy getting matured, when politicians getting better and better and have the opportunities, they are utilizing identity. It's not the caste system, but it's sub-caste itself. If we understand in the common caste system, there is Brahmana, Brahmin, and Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. But there is a sub-caste within it. There is the Harijan, there is middle, caste. And with politics, with the way that, with the fact that they, it is meant to, with the political parties meant to get power, and the majority of them are coming from certain group, certain identity, then they utilize that maximally. Back in, I think, in the 90s, early 2000, the biggest country, the biggest state in India, the Uttar Pradesh, is almost, the population is almost the size of Indonesia. It's 200-something million, almost 400, I believe. Majority of them actually coming from the outcast. But from the day of Indian independence in 1947, when they were illiterate politically, they never be in power. But back in the 2000, utilizing the identity, they managed to be in power, managed to rule the biggest state in India, and were able to put themselves as the authoritative kind of entity to run the show, to go for the common objective of getting justice and everything. So what I want to say is about this, that in politics, in the political contestation, what matters is the vote. How do you want to identify yourself with those kind of biggest number of potential voters, that's the best way to win the vote. But we cannot just end in that one if we want to really, say that politics is not about power, but politics is the way to manage problem. We don't want to create problems with, with the way that it could potentially, bring a problem in the future. Thank you. I hope it helps.
Okay, maybe another question from participants. Is it enough? Okay. Before I close this session, I want to share the proverb from one of tribes in Indian, Cree, the tribe Cree. They say, only when the last tree has been cut down, only after the last river has been poisoned, only after the last fish has been caught, only then will we realize that we cannot get money. So after we destroy our nature, we cannot go back to the earlier condition. And as we already know that our nature cure itself very slow, take long time. But human destroy nature very fast. So we have to raise this consciousness, how to be wisely, to more wise, treating our nature. Okay, thank you very much for to our speakers of this plenary session 2, Bapak William and Bapak Ahmad Kusai. Thank you very much for the good speech. And thank you very much for the attention of the participants and the question also. Miss Siti Aisyah, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for Mr. William P. Sabandar, PhD, Mr. Ahmad Kisai, PhD, as well as our wonderful moderator, Ms. Siti Aisyah, MPhil, PhD.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to show our deepest gratitude by appreciating our wonderful speakers for today, Professor Dr. Nasir Muhammad Arif from St. Andrews University, Mr. Fakhruddin M. Mangunjaya from National University, Professor Iim Halimatus Sa'diyah, PhD from UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta, and Mr. Ahmad Kisai, PhD from Paramadina Graduate School of Diplomacy. We would like to invite all our respected presenters to come to the stage because we want to deliver an appreciation with a placard. And we would also like to invite Professor Amelia Fauzia MA, PhD, as the head of LPPM UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta, and Mr. Fatuddin MA Hum MH as the Secretary of LPPM UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta to deliver the placard. All the respected guests, presenters, may have your place in front of the stage. warm applause for all the incredible presenters of the 6th ICONIST 2023.
We will continue with the documentation session. For all the respected guests, please come to the stage. For all the committees, please guide the photo session. For the Honorable Ibu Siti Aisyah.
Thank you very much, respected presenters and moderators for today. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the keynote speech and the plenary sessions for the 6th ICONIST today. For the next session, we will have 30 minutes lunch break. And to all respectable guests, please enjoy the lunch break. And we will also like to notify you that after lunch, we will hold an interesting parallel sessions on the first floor. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.